Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Migrant stakeholders run biya bimwebiri kemisinde zigenda kubera kusawe kololo kusande nga bili October tudduka okusonda sente okudabiriza kifo ekibudabuda bankuba kyeyonga bakomyewo eddembe ly'Abannayuganda bakolebwe buvunanyizibwa bwaffe era kitukakatako okulwanirira eddembe n'obwenkanya mu mirimu gy'abankuba kyeyo n'olwekyo weetabe mu kudabiriza kifo kino ng'ogula kiti ya $2.5 okuva ku petrol station za Shell Kabalagala, Shell Lugogo, Capital, Shell Najjanankumbi, Shell Nansana, Shell Namave ne Shell Buloba. Biwagidwa Star Times, Reham, Fresh Dairy, Roofings, Housing Finance Bank, Maritime Cargo. Olo na bikutusibwa ku ofisi ya President ku nsonga z'emitala w'amayanja Uwera ne Migrant Workers Voice nebitegekebwa Sinat Advertising.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digital.
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digital TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
A very good evening, our viewers. I thank you for joining us this evening. It's another edition of the Hotline Show that runs every Monday here at the Alternative Dig Talk TV. My name is Abdallah Latif. A lot has been happening, and of course we tonight want to focus much on the effectiveness of parliamentary committees. There are so many committees in parliament, but sometimes we ask ourselves questions. Do Ugandans understand the purpose of these committees? And sometimes we for those who have the opportunity to watch on different TV sets and all that, they always see some members of the public being grilled by the so many committees in parliament. But again, we want to see how does that really translate into the expectations of Ugandans. Sometimes we always want to assess the performance of our parliament, and if you're to do that, you need to get back to the common man, the common person, that average Ugandan, and see if they really understand what parliament does. And in most cases, when members of the public go to cast their votes to decide who should be their members, their representatives at the August House, of course they have many expectations. But again, another question comes into play. When these leaders go into parliament, do they represent the views, the interests of their constituents? Do they represent the opinions of their people? Or when they get there, they divert, they move away from the will of their voters and then maybe front issues for their own interests? Well, tonight, I am privileged in the studios. I have two strong gentlemen. One is Mr. Rugendo Arinaitwe. Rugendo Arinaitwe, he heads the team. He's the team leader at Research Finds. It's a Uganda online news-based platform that focuses much on science communication. He has joined us this evening to share his insights on the performance of Parliament, and especially when we want to focus on the Kwasase Committee, that is the Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities, and State Enterprises. I also have Mr. Irumba Andrew Katsabe. He is the president for the Independent Digital Online Journalists Association. Of course, if you've been following what has been happening in Parliament, in the Kosase Committee, the Indoja appeared somewhere. And maybe, of course, there have been a lot of speculations in that regard. It's him actually to help us tell us the truth, whether what is being said about the Indoja is true or not. Well, I want to start by the president. You know, when we have the president here, this gentleman here runs an online platform, and even us here at the Digitalk TV, it's an online-based platform. So he is the president. Mr. President, sir, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Abdulatif. Maybe you should have started with my commander, because Mr. Zendo is my mentor, and I respect him. So I told you earlier that he invited me to talk with my boss. It might sometimes be a bit difficult for me to. I cannot critique him if suppose he was to say something that I but I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much. And this is my first time, I think, being here. I've been following you guys online, and I think if I could take you back a little bit, I was part of the struggle when you were ransacked.
Yeah.
Arnold knows, and so I'm glad to be home.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you here. And Mr. Rugendo, we are having you here for the second time.
Yes.
And it's a pleasure to have you again.
Pleasure to be back here and bringing the viewers and also those online probably who might be listening.
Thank you so much. And of course, we're also expecting to have Mr. Lubega Samuel Walter Mukaku. We expect him to join us, I think, in the next 10 to 15 minutes. I believe he'll be here with us. Nevertheless, the discussion has to continue, and when he comes in, when he comes through, of course, he'll be able to join us. Well, I want to start with now. This each one refers to the others, the boss. But I want to, for the purpose of this discussion tonight, I want to refer to Mr. Irumba as our boss here, being the president for, online journalists. Well, let me start with the junior now, according to tonight's ranks. According to tonight's ranks. Mr. Rugendo, there is a lot that takes place in Parliament. But again, the biggest question is, does the population anyway understand what takes place in Parliament? People incur a lot of money to lure the voters, to convince the voters, to send them to that august house to represent their views. But again, the question is, do the voters know the role of their members of Parliament? You've had an opportunity to, given the number of engagements you've been into, you've interacted with people at the high end and those at the low ends. So I am very sure you have a clear picture of what we are talking about. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. Very, very good question indeed, which really questions the nature of our democracy and politics broadly, and how the ordinary person fits into the political process within our country.
Yeah.
And I think if I were to answer your question, whether really the ordinary person understands the role of an MP or what Parliament is in their lives, I would say, broadly speaking, I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't think so.
They're totally detached.
They're detached in a sense that what the people expect of their MPs or the legislature is not actually what the legislature is supposed to be doing, because essentially MPs are supposed to go to Parliament and enact laws. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Nothing else. But our ordinary people think that the MPs should be the ones to provide water, electricity, roads, money at the barrios, everything, contributions, fundraise for them, educate their children, and for that matter, our the ordinary MP really in the context of Uganda is, I think, one who is so burdened and stressed because there is a mismatch between what the role of an MP should be and what the people's expectations are.
But that's what they promised them.
Yes, because that's how the nature of our politics is. You know, and I started from that angle, and I was telling you that the way our politics is structured is in such a way that you will not get support if you're standing for an elective office in this country unless you promised heaven on earth. so the problem is that our civic competencies as people, civic awareness as people is very low, and I think the point here is the problem here is probably not the parliament itself. It's not even the people themselves. I think it is government. It is probably the electoral commission, whoever it is that is supposed to raise civic awareness about what people should know regarding the role of parliament in their lives. And for me, from that point, I would still conclude and say that they don't understand. They don't know, and I don't blame them. I think I blame really the political actors who are supposed to enlighten our people about what to expect from their legislators. And probably what causes that, maybe, partly because, one, we are an agrarian country, there's not so much, we don't have enough resources to go around everyone. And so, in a way, there is a sense of absence of government in people's lives. So, therefore, if we don't have electricity in my village, the next possible person who is easily accessible to me will be my MP. And so, therefore, instead of asking whether they have passed bill number what or this or the other, I'm asking about our road. I'm asking about our
borehole is not functioning.
And that's the point. Because that's the role of government, the central government or the executive, to provide those resources. It's the role of the local government to provide those resources, not the MP. But it's the MP who is in their lives. Is the one who is easily accessible, is the one they see all the time, is the one they interact with. So they divert the issues away from the executive and place them on the legislature because it's the MP who's in their lives, who's in their faces. And that has been the problem. And
is it the MP being in their face, or it's the MP they assume that maybe being that he sits at
absence of government in their lives? That's for me the point that I want to say here, because
these people live with the councillors and
yes, it's the same, because councillorship and MPship is almost the same. It's the legislation, and councillorship is the smallest parliament at the village level, and so that's what they see, because these are the guys in their lives, and they have also structured it that way. That we can provide where the government has failed. For us, we can provide, and so give me in exchange for this, and I'll be able to bring the goodies that you need, and let me tell you, maybe before I come to this point, that has denied the country qualitative leadership. If you don't have money now, like in Western Uganda, where I come from, I speak to MPs there, and they will tell you, if you don't have some money, probably about $500 million shillings, you cannot dream of going to parliament, because you have to spend on so many unnecessary things to be able to win their vote, and that's what they want. And so when the MPs get into parliament, they now start working backwards on how to recover
what they spent,
and that has influenced their thinking, the way they legislate, the way they behave in some of these committees. That has a bearing on the electoral process. Some of us, actually, there's a time I wanted to stand somewhere in Ruhama, and people started asking me so many things, asking me, come for this fundraising, and I said, but, well, I think this is not going to be my career, because I thought I am going to parliament to represent your views. not to give you money, not to give you...
They want solution-oriented leaders.
So I was surprised, I was shocked. Because I asked them, I said, okay, for me, I have a pickup. I want you to contribute fuel. For me, I will contribute a pickup and a manifesto because we are in this together. I said, no, you don't understand.
It's who wants the vote.
You don't understand what I want. For us, a cafe no, you bring our thing here, bring our warrage, bring our money, and whatever it is, and then for you, you go and you take care of yourself. You see, there is that mismatch.
Well,
and people don't understand what an MP is supposed to do, to do, and so they expect the MP to be the one to solve
each and everything
and that burden, that responsibility is not for the member of parliament. The member of parliament is actually is supposed to be the overseer. He's supposed to provide oversight over government, over the executive. He's supposed to check the executive to ensure that the executive, provides what the people want, provides the basic and essential needs of the people, not the MP.
Thank you so much, Bwana Rugendo. I want to cross over to the president. Mr. Rugendo brings a point that there is some sort of, this is my word now, some sort of a deliberate, move to have a society of that nature. That's why when you see members of parliament coming, to those who want to actually go to parliament, they represent, they promise even what is beyond their mandate. Now, do you subscribe to that school of thought that there must have been a deliberate move to have, if I use a gullible society, maybe it will be too harsh, but some sort of deliberately to have a community which is so detached from...
The society we have today and the mindset that we are having today is a creation of the politician.
Okay.
And for me, I don't call them politicians, I call them politricians. This is what they're playing in Africa is not politics, it's politics. So they have created a society that has to look at them for solutions. And that is the same mindset that the white man had created. That you look at the white man as the source of your solutions. In other words, even in yourself, you are a problem to yourself. So any type of solution, even a needle in your home, you have to look for a white man. They just copied and pasted the same thing here. When the colonialist left, the politician now that was left here is working on the same template. You see, are you not surprised that today someone sits in UK, European Parliament, and says, please, you people, you Tanzania and Uganda, you wait on that pipeline. We shall tell you when. What does that show you? It shows you that in their mindset, they know they did not give us independence. They know. Because if they knew we were independent, they would not say that. So this is the same society we are dealing with. And it's created by a politician. A politician, if he knows that you have been empowered enough to look after yourself, then he realizes that it will be hard to convince you to give him your vote. So all the time, you must look like you are vulnerable to him. That's why during the elections, I have covered some of these elections, this politician can give as little as one packet of salt and they tell you to share it with the other family, with the other neighbors. You have 3 homes around there, they give you 1 packet to share. They are not ashamed to do that. Why? Because that's the type of society they have created. Now, if you see, do you know why the entrant parliament every other term has been much more restricted than it were? The reason is these guys, after spending so much in you, now they want to come and also exploit from parliament. So people used to go to parliament every day and beg. So now you cannot access your MP at parliament because they know what is taking you there is not ideas. You're not going to exchange ideas. You have gone there to beg, so they block you right from the entrance. That's why when you go there, they ask you, whom do you want to see? I want to see Honorable Mukakulo Bega. Do you have an appointment with him? You say, yes, you call him. So if he doesn't pick, then you are not. You
go home.
Yes, you have come from Karamoja, maybe you have a point, but it will end at parliament, at the gate. So that's the kind of, and now the police and security have now, they have now generalized it. They think even when Mr. Rugendo goes there, he has gone to do the same. Even you, when you go there, you have gone to do. So that's the general mindset now they have. Every Ugandan who comes to parliament has come to beg. Therefore, they must see you. So, who is benefiting from this kind of malnutrition you see in people, our people? It's the politician. They are eating their money, they are eating their resources, but then they are playing on their head, showing them that actually they are helping them. There is nothing they are helping. Let me tell you, the amount of money this country spends on the parliament, the parliament, that's the other arm of government. That money is enough to construct roads, to construct hospitals, to look after every person. Even this part of this, the debt that I'm seeing that every Ugandan has 1.8 million, which you have never eaten. That money, if that parliament was not there, that money would be paid. Because much of it is going to those people. But what's the input? What do I get back?
From them?
You are supposed to legislate. That's your primary role, legislate. All the laws that they legislate, do they help you as a person? Are they of any importance?
Is that their problem, or it is the problem of the system in place?
It is a problem created by them.
Because for them, if they can't create the laws,
they know their role is legislation. Do they do it? When they do, does it help you? I want to ask you, you're a journalist, now they have brought you a Computer Misuse Act. Is it going to help? Is it in your favor? That's why you sent him there. Is he doing your role of representing your ideas? Are those ideas of amending the Computer Misuse Act our ideas? Are they your ideas? So, when you look at those committees, they all put there to help you, the taxpayer, to ensure your money is put to better use. Is it what they are doing?
Mr. Irumba, I want to take you back a little bit. You talked about the influence of the whites in our African countries, Uganda inclusive. You've mentioned that even right now, much as we are soon to celebrate our independence, but you seem to suggest that the whole idea of independence was a scam.
The white man knows what he gave.
Now, my question is, isn't it you, I am not meaning you, but isn't it you,
the Ugandans,
the Ugandans or the Africans, who have given those white people the power to take over you? Because each time and again, you're running over to them, we need this, we need aid, we need support in this. You see, it's like someone, every time when someone is running to you, I need this, you provide, I need this, you provide. In the long run,
do you know what happened to Gaddafi when he tried to destabilize the system? Do you know what happened to him? So, these guys have a system. You either fall it or you fall out. And when they are fighting you, your fellow Africans are looking. They are looking like this. Then they start doing post-mortem when you are dead. This is the mindset. That's what I'm telling you right now. The European Parliament there seems to think that they have more powers to decide on what should be constructed along Uganda and Tanzania than the parliament here. And they will win the war. I will give you another example. Recently,
it's because they have the money.
Recently I saw, it's not about the money. Recently I saw, people of Hoima have been demonstrating, have been fighting for that forest called there is that forest in Hoima. It's called what? I'm forgetting the name. Where somebody, an investor, was given that the forest to destroy it and then plant sugarcane. You know that forest?
In Kagadi?
Hoima.
No.
Somebody was given that land to destroy the forest and plant sugarcane. Yes. Those people have been fighting for over 5 years, the Ugandans there. The government has never listened. Recently, I saw a white woman sitting in a press conference with the Prime Minister of Uganda. Then they resolved that now they are going to cancel the title. The white woman is the one who convinced the Prime Minister and the government to understand the value and the importance of the forest. The Ugandans who have been fighting for the restoration of the forest for the last 5 years, they did not make a point. Until they saw a skin different from theirs, then they admitted, they accepted. Now you might find that that white woman is representing a certain group of white people, and they have come with money. They gave money to drop that idea. That's what you do find now. Finally. So, the problem is, it is them, but also it is us. Because that mindset has been built in us, we've grown in it, and Then the politician has sustained the system.
The Mukakus.
Yeah, he's not part of them.
Okay.
He's not actually, he's fighting them. But the
He's
politician...
fighting to join them.
he's trying to join them. Okay. So the politicians of Africa, of Uganda, they have simply sustained the system. And this system helps the politicians and the other people. It doesn't help the 1 inch, the people here. No. It is not in your favor. It is in the favor of the politicians who are being used by the white man, by the Europeans, and then you, the people, you just end there. You are just collateral damage. That's what they say.
Thank you so much.
Collateral damage.
Thank you so much, Bwana Andrew Irumba, the president. We now have 2 presidents in... Well, Mr. Lubega Mukaku, you're most welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure too.
And, well, you found us amidst the discussion, and we're looking at many people, including you, because you contested in the previous elections. You always present your manifestos to the electorates, asking them to send you to the parliament and maybe even other elective positions to represent their views. But the question is, do these people understand where they send you? Do you understand the kind of roles you're supposed to perform when you get into those offices?
Do the people understand
The role of the leaders
the
they
role of the leaders?
they put into offices.
In generality, yes.
Okay.
In particularity, no. But they are not supposed to know all the details.
They are not supposed to know.
They are not supposed to know all the details of what you're going to do. They are supposed to be sure that the competencies you have and they want in you to perform duties that some of them that they may not be able to perform are the right competencies. Secondly, they rely
We still have people who reason like that anyway.
They rely on the fact that you were swearing to uphold the trust and that you will keep the trust. And they also know that manipulative agendas will not be allowed. And again, the institutions that they have and the laws are going to help them to try and keep you on track. The unfortunate bit in Uganda, with the level of mafia capture of our state, of our institutions, of our bureaucratic systems, and therefore of our laws, has ended up not only corrupting but perverting the real framework and safeguards of what the people would use to keep those they have sent on track and in check. Secondly, the corruption that we have has perverted every aspect, not just the trust, but every aspect of the formalized and non-formalized behavior and conduct of business. The corruption that we have. And that is also a tool of the captors, those who want to pervert the laws, those who want to capture the institutions for their selfish interests. And even the leaders that we send, or ourselves, let me say, ourselves who come to run, play ball, have agreed to play ball with those, the mafia agenda. And at the end of the day, it is the local individuals that have lost it out completely. But even ourselves in the process, we lose out completely, and it is only the captor that gains ultimately. Probably what we are talking about is not easy for people to unpack, but the reality is there. When people bend laws to serve their own interests, right from the time we are trying to look for the right leaders to go through the sieve, what we would call in normal civil service, we call these ones what? Normal civil service. If you want, you go and
Aptitude?
you do the
Interviews?
the interviews, which may also include
Public service.
some of the public service. It may include aptitude and all this, looking for those particular competencies. And of course, you who wants to take the job, convincing the others that you have the competencies, and you swear to uphold those competencies, follow those etiquettes, so follow those particular codified regulations and laws. The interview a politician goes through is the most thorough and most rigorous. But unfortunately, it is perverted right from the start because of the other two things. One, the corruption.
Mm-hmm.
Two, wanting to serve the interests of those who want to capture. So you become part of the cabal of the captors. And three, the intimidation. And this has been going on, as you know. Whoever intimidates other people out of their own takes the day.
Mr. Mkaku.
And it is that. And people can be intimidated severally. Sometimes they're intimidated physically. The gun is there. The people now feel powerless. And the political candidates also feel powerless.
Mr. Mkaku, kindly help us understand this. You're telling us the sieving process.
Yes.
What we would call the interviewing process.
Yes.
Now, in this process, we are seeing corruption at play. We are seeing intimidation at play.
And perversion of the law.
Perversion of the law. And, or maybe say impunity of whatever forms. Now, in a civil society, in a civilized society, in a normal society, you would not expect this to happen. And now, if for our case, and maybe somewhere else, these elements you're talking about, they occupy the biggest part of the entire process. Why do you think this has continuously existed within our vetting process of, the interviewing process of the politicians?
That is the normal process of the continued capture of the state, capture of our institutions and bureaucratic systems. It started somewhere. You might be young enough, but you were a scholar. You might have learned of what they call legal notice number 1, which fused the NRM with the state right from the start. And those who are bent to ensure that the state of Uganda is under total capture have been building the momentum, and to our institutions and to our processes and to our voices now, to our voices. Every voice. And I love what Comrade Irumba was talking about. You expect these, for example, if they are members of parliament, there are 529 in parliament. Do they have a voice now? You can give simple examples. What has happened with the Yala now? Yala, which is a very important institution, is now being perverted and corrupted by a one-man in State House.
Let's first keep it at that, Mr. Mkaku. I will be getting back. I want
because you have feared now where he's going.
No, we will get there. We will get there. We will get there. Well, I want to go back to Mr. Rugendo.
Yes.
You've mentioned the issue of our civic competence as a country is wanting. I was given an example here. and I want to repeat this today. There is a constituency in Kampala here where members went and they cast their vote. They voted for their member of parliament. Then a few, 2 odd days later, that member of parliament went just to say, hey, Benaye, thank you for voting. And so everyone was like, and who are you? He's like, I am so and so. We voted you as who? It's like, as your member of parliament, hey, you're the one. Another example is to share with people. There is another area within Kampala here. People went to cast their ballots. They started at 7. Then by around midday, one of the candidates came to cast her vote. She realized that she's not on the ballot. And now the question is, what were these other people voting from 7 to midday? You see, this takes us back to the issue you're talking about. Is this in tandem with what Mr. Mukaku is trying to bring out to the issue of the continuity to capture state power, or this is something to do with the negligence of Ugandans? You see, Ugandans tend to move on so fast. They forget things so much easily. I want us to create a relationship in this.
Well, thank you. I think, first of all, Mr. Mukaku talks about mafia capture, and what he calls mafia capture. For me, in terms of electoral democracy in this country, I call it a different thing. The indifference by the population to understand what they are entitled to. Because you see, ultimately at that ballot box, we might blame whatever happens thereafter, but at that ballot box, it is your decision. And once it is your decision, then you cannot blame any possible capture that is stopping you from taking your decision, unless you have been turned away or blocked from proceeding to point X to be able to cast your ballot. And so for me, I still go back to what concerns me most, and this is civic awareness, civic competences of our people. There has been that failure, especially on the part of the state or government, for that matter.
Has it been deliberate?
In terms of, I can't say it's been deliberate, because there is that moment when the Electoral Commission is granted the opportunity to move around the country and educate people about their rights, about how to vote, about how to question certain issues, about how to, about knowing what the role of, for example, of a councillor is, an LC1 chairman, party leader, a presidential candidate, and a member of parliament. And that alone, at that point, everything looks perfect until at that moment when we've elected these leaders, and then we start demanding different things, because I think what fails us as a country in our political process is the mismatch that I've said already. The mismatch between what the people expect from their elected leaders, because the question was particularly to Parliament, their MPs, and what the role of an MP is supposed to be. There's that mismatch, and that has not been settled for a very, very long time. 37 years, our people still don't understand that an MP is not supposed to bring you a borehole. An MP is not supposed to build you a road. An MP instead is supposed to question why there is no borehole in your village, and push government and force the arm of the state to deliver. Is that what is happening? That's not what exactly is happening, generally speaking. Maybe in a few cases where you find people actually, I don't know, maybe workers, like workers MP, maybe those interest groups is where I think we see some bit of meaningful representation in terms of what an MP is supposed to be. If you're talking about the military, for example, as an interest group, the people with disabilities as an interest group, youth, well, yes and no, and maybe workers, because there you could clearly see proper articulation of their issues. Women, it's yes and no. Women and youth, it's the same terrain. So, but really, the directly elected MPs, it's a mess. It is a mess. 529, like someone has said here, is such a difficult process of registration that there is actually absence of actual registration in terms of representation, in terms of what an MP is supposed to do. So we still keep flogging the same horse and saying that that has to change. To be able to have proper registration, to be able to have meaningful representation, effective representation in that case. Because if people are going to concentrate on MPs delivering this and the other and that, then what's the role of government? What's the role of the central government? What's the role of the state? That's the responsibility of the state. Instead, I should see people pushing the members of parliament on their failure to question, to oversight government about some of these issues, about what they are entitled to, about the services, about the health care, about the education system, about infrastructure, about agriculture, about agriculture extension, about many things that concern our people.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Rugendo. I want to cross now to the president himself.
But before you, here, you see, we need to be very careful as a country to know who denies who what we call voter education, and who denies who civic education. These are different types of things. And they are all processes that are very important for democracy to grow, or the side that is not stifled. But probably we shall have to go into that another day when we have the time.
Actually, that relates to the question I wanted to pose to Mr. Irumba. You see, when we have a mismatch of expectations. Members of parliament, when they are meeting the voters, like he said before, they promise heaven on earth. And then even for the voters, the expectations are way much different from what their leaders are expected to do. They're supposed to do, actually. Now, my question here is, why would members of parliament go ahead to promise what is not within their mandate? Why are they struggling so much to get into that house?
You see, right now, if you're poor and you want money, quick money, you go to politics. Right now, in Uganda, if you're poor and you want to get rich quick, you enter politics. So they made that manipulative system intentional to serve their interests. By the way, have you seen at certain stage when you belong to the regime and you fail in the elections, somehow you're still adopted. Somehow you're still adopted in a way. So that is to manage you. The Parliament of Uganda is 529 MPs. We are 45.74 million people. The Parliament of Kenya is 290 seats. Those are the seats they have, 290 seats. And the population is 53.77 million. Compare the economy of Kenya, compare the size of Kenya, compare the strategic location of Kenya with, Uganda being a landlocked country.
Yeah.
All our tradings along the...
We are dependent. So,
yeah. Compare all those comparative advantages with Kenya. Now look at their parliament, 290, compared to the Ugandan parliament. Number two, look at how these other, let's even talk about Rwanda. Look at how the politicians, the MPs, the representatives of the people in Rwanda, how they serve the interests of the people. Go to Rwanda and tell me there is any MP who has promised a village that he would build for them a road. You get it? Or even in Kenya. No, those are a no-go area. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is legislation. But now here, it has changed. Even if you are a very good debater in your district, they cannot send you to parliament. They will only send you if you have money. Or if you bury every day. That mindset, we were not with it. It has been created by the politician for a purpose. You look at them as your solution bearers. So every time you hear a member of parliament has come into the area now, has come back from Kampala, all of you in the morning you line up at his home gate. And how much do you get every day?
Mr. Irumba,
Yes.
We have that institution called Parliament, which has its well-stipulated duties, roles, and
Yes.
and now we are having
Oversight
also
role and
legislation, and
Yes.
now we also have a set of individuals coming to occupy that house. The question is, do those occupants of that house understand what they're supposed to do?
They understand, but again, they know that if they do what they understand that the law tells them, they will not get voted. So they have to deviate and dance to the whims of the people. I'm telling you, that person in the village is not even concerned whether you are brilliant or not, or whether you can represent him in parliament or not. His concern is, when I come to you, do you give me a packet of salt? Yeah? If I lose a relative, will you send him a bugu? 100,000? There are some MPs, by the way, no. They are handlers there in the village. Every day someone dies, it is automatic. Even the person going to lose a person, his electorate, they know automatically when someone dies, I have 100,000 from the MP. I know that every person who dies in the village, 100,000. It's a given. So even when someone loses somebody, because akasenta kange kaliwa, make money, it is their money. They know. Now, you have a society that is dependent on one individual called a politician. That politician has created that system intentionally, right from what Mr. Mukaku is trying to say here, right from the number one. That system trickles down. And that's what has sustained them anyway. So it is working. It's not working for you as the electorate, but it's working for them. That's the same system. The Queen Mother of England, who has just died yesterday, has been raging on for the last 96 years. That's why you hear even CHOGM, Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. They are going to meet on behalf of who?
To discuss what?
The other day it was in Rwanda. Tell me how many problems the problems of Rwanda were solved because of CHOGM. Tell me what they talked about the problem across in DRC. So they are not coming here to solve your problem. No. You know, when they keep coming here and they keep in touch, they keep their interests intact. But this interest, it is you taking care of them. You have seen African presidents going to bury the Queen, and you've seen them being chauffeured in a bus. Why can't they do that for even the former president of America? Obama cannot sit there. The former, but the current president of an African country can sit there, and they know they have done it.
Thank you so much, Mr. Irumba. I want to go to Mr. Mukaku. I want to pick it from where these two gentlemen have stopped. Mr. Irumba says, I have asked him about the competence of even the people who sent to Parliament. I want to cite the very recent bill which was passed. That is the Computer Misuse Bill. No, it hasn't been assented to yet.
Still a bill.
Yes.
It has
Now,
already been passed.
when you look, I had a chance to go to Parliament to present my views as a journalist in regards to that bill. But all the provisions set in there, it's a duplication of many other laws that we have in place. And you would assume that of the 529 members of Parliament, we should have at least sober brains to guide the House, to guide the Parliament, to guide the nation. That look, whatever we are trying to front forward, It already exists. Now, this brings us, this forces me, I bring another question here. Do these people understand their roles when they go to Parliament?
You see, I'm sorry, because in this program, and for our ordinary person, it's important not to go to be so sophisticated. There are these words which are commonly used in our political discourse. One, pervert. Two, subvert. And three, gag. If you want, you can add a fourth one, deny.
Okay.
The ordinary person may not be very much used to pervert, but people at the MP level and leaders should know it, which means to overturn, to overthrow, to corrupt, to turn the wrong way around. To overturn, to overthrow, to corrupt, and ultimately turn the wrong way around. That's pervert. Subvert means to undermine authority, to bring the downfall of something or someone, to undermine the moral principles of someone or an institution. And gag,
silence.
It should be you to define it.
To silence.
Because you know what it is.
To silence.
So, the mafia captors that we are talking about, time immemorial, in Uganda and elsewhere, they are always very consistent and deliberate.
Okay.
They use every means at their disposal to the disadvantaged people to pervert, subvert, gag,
and deny.
Every means at their disposal. In our countries, where institutions are may still be vulnerable, especially if you're emerging from war, and there is someone who has the gun, the people being subjected to gun rule, and they are poor, their authority is quickly undermined. It's quickly overthrown by those who have the gun, those who have the jobs, those who have access to what we call power. They have money, and they dominate influence. They dominate influence. They have the monopoly of coercive means and the non-coercive ones. This is exactly what our countries live for. So, going to the question, they will capture the institutions, and I hope here some people may not even understand what the institutions can be what you feel and see. Like you say, the judiciary, parliament, the army, the office of the president. But there are also those which are not very, a little bit in between there, like the fourth estate, where you belong. The fourth estate, this one, that is the media. It's an institution. As long as it is governed by a set of rules, regulations, and other instruments that guide them how they should operate. Is our media today working like it should be? Is there no somebody who pulls the string? You know, the puppets, the story of the puppets. Gorogos. You see, sometimes people see the Gologos dancing. They think that it is from within their brains, from within their energy. But somebody who is pulling these puppets is the one actually doing the job. And the captor, those who are in captive, become puppets. The captor now pulls the strings. Pulls the strings. Now, in regard to whatever form of law, and that is where you also pervert the certain processes, like the very important processes of governance, like a rule of law. It now turns out to be rule by law.
Mr. Mukaku, I want to believe that out of the 529 members of parliament, we still have, I believe, there are those members who still have functioning heads. I am sorry to, in quotes. We have some members who can reason. Do you want to tell me that they have all been taken up by these four elements: the perversion, pervert, subvert, gag, and deny?
Because in some of those ones I've told you, there's the element of corruption. Yeah, we have computers today. If they say that machine has been corrupted, you know what it will happen. What you know. I don't know whether my mother understands if I tell her that computer has been corrupted. Once it is corrupted, it's no longer functioning like it ought to do. Yeah? If your mind is corrupted for some reason, either by being given money by somebody else who pulls the strings, who makes you, and now Irumba starts asking himself, I'm here, I am a graduate, but who made me? I should never have come to this parliament if it were not that man who gave me the money to buy the voters. Then shop closed. If Irumba has been intimidated beyond repair, and he knows that the moment I step, he will even sit with the media. If that media man knows that when you talk about this now, you are going to lose it, he's not going to perform like he should have performed. So what we are having now is that after the corruption, which is a process from how they have been elected, who brings them, the people have not actually participated, even the people themselves have been given kitoko to bring these people to where they are. And in parliament now you can see, if you are going to talk about, I was bringing a very good example.
As you wind up, because we need to go for a very short.
The East now this Yala thing.
No, Yala thing we are starting it in the second hour.
It is the same as this law. Now they want you to pass that law in whose interest? Many of those members of parliament know the truth. They know the existence of those laws that you are talking about, which were being duplicated. They know that there were journalists who wanted to make their inputs and other professionals who wanted to make their input, and tactfully they denied you the opportunity. You know that even the order paper, no member of parliament today in Uganda can bring a private member's bill. A private member's bill. This is written in the law. A private member's bill. Without a financial. No, leave alone the financial implications. Unless the captors have allowed it. They will crowd the order paper from January up to December, and that year will be gone, and you will never have your way. But the speakers know that members of parliament also deserve to have these private members' bills. It is the same thing with you, members of the public. Even now, going to the gallery is a problem. You can't go to the gallery today, but in other parliaments they do.
Thank you so much,
Because
Mr.
even the police officers, the other officers, including the officers and commissioners of parliament, have been totally taken over. Totally perverted.
Thank you, Mr. Mukaku. Well, this is the Hotline Show. We'll be going for a very, very short break. And of course, when we return, we'll start with the issue of Mr. Mukaku is so much interested in this yearly election thing. I think we'll talk about it very, very briefly, and then we move to the Kosase report, the Kosase, the allegations. Mr. Irumba, you received some good money from on behalf of the Ndoja.
We have not yet actually.
Yes, that's where we are.
Discussed about the misuse, the computer misuse.
Yes, we'll get that in the second hour. So let's break off very, very briefly, and when we return, the hotline show will continue.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Migrant stakeholders run biya birimu ebiri emisinde gigenda okubeera ku ssaawa ekkololo ku sande nga 2 October. Tudduka okusonda ssente okuddaabiriza ekifo ekibudabuda bankuba kyeyo nga bakomyewo. Eddembe lya bannayuganda bakolebwe buvunaanyizibwa bwaffe era kitukakatako okulwanirira eddembe n'obwenkanya mu mirimu gy'abankuba kyeyo. N'olwekyo weetabe mu kuddaabiriza ekifo kino ng'ogula kiti ya $2.5 okuva ku petrol station za Shell Kabalagala, Shell Lugogo, Capital, Shell Najjanankumbi, Shell Nansana, Shell Namave ne Shell Buloba. Biwagidwa Star Times, Reham, Fresh Dairy, Roofings, Housing Finance Bank, Maritime Cargo. Olwo ne bikutusibwako ofisi ya President ku nsonga z'emitala w'amayanja, UERA ne Migrant Workers Voice. Ne bitegekebwa Sinat Advertising.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digital.
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digital TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Migrant stakeholders run biya birimu ebiri emisinde gigenda okubeera ku ssaawa ekkololo ku sande nga 2 October. Tudduka okusonda ssente okuddaabiriza ekifo ekibudabuda bankuba kyeyo nga bakomyewo. Eddembe lya bannayuganda bakolebwe buvunaanyizibwa bwaffe era kitukakatako okulwanirira eddembe n'obwenkanya mu mirimu gy'abankuba kyeyo. N'olwekyo weetabe mu kuddaabiriza ekifo kino ng'ogula kiti ya $2.5 okuva ku petrol station za Shell Kabalagala, Shell Lugogo, Capital, Shell Najjanankumbi, Shell Nansana, Shell Namave ne Shell Buloba. Biwagidwa Star Times, Reham, Fresh Dairy, Roofings, Housing Finance Bank, Maritime Cargo. Olwo ne bikutusibwako ofisi ya President ku nsonga z'emitala w'amayanja, UERA ne Migrant Workers Voice. Ne bitegekebwa Sinat Advertising.
You have got to get up pretty early to go do something. We are the Alternative Dig Talk. With our mobile studios, we are redefining TV presentation just as technology is setting the pace. We are blending our approach with fresh, perspectively designed breakfast show, The Mighty Drive, informative and entertainment show, exclusive and live interviews.
President Museveni wadde juzi namulaba apima akawunga kilo 2 tasobola kalya nini bwaba alya kilo 5 oyannema okuliisa eggwanga ne bwe limundekera.
Njagala kwebaza the Alternative Digital etuwadde kano ka Mighty Drive era n'abatuwuliriza bonna abali ku mikutu njagala basaba mugendo maaso n'okuwuliriza.
All given to you just a click away on your phone, tablet, laptop and smart TVs as we are streaming live on our social media platforms, on the road and on the go. We are the Alternative Dig Talk.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Well, welcome back from that short break. And now we have to continue with our discussion. Well, before we went for the break, we had already looked at the role of what Parliament does, and of course the kind of expectations we have as a country and as voters when we go to queue up to cast our votes to decide who should lead us in the next 5 years and what we really expect from them. Well, we want to start with the issue of the COSASE committee. That is the committee on commissions, statutory authorities, and state enterprises, which is headed by Nakawa West Member of Parliament, Honorable Joero Senyonyi. A number of issues have been handled by that committee. Just to give a brief background, in 2009, there was that. There was one issue which was very hot that was handled by the 10th Parliament. That was the issue of the Mohammed Al-Bihai, that is the director of tight security. They had issues to do with some properties for the Indians who were expelled, way back in 1970. And when the committee made its report, that gentleman chose to drag the Attorney General to court. And court, which was led by Justice, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name. I am forgetting his name. Justice Boniface Wamala. He ruled, and of course he quashed the committee by the Parliament, by the report by the committee, saying that they overstepped their mandate. And part of what they did was supposed to be done by maybe courts of law rather than a committee on Parliament. And that is one conflict that we noticed. Then we also had the 10.6 billion shillings in the land compensation scam that regarding the 516 hectares of land in Kagadi. You remember Matia Kasaija, the Minister for Finance, appeared in the committee, and he said he was misguided on that. When you look at whatever reports, these reports come through, they are issued, and what happens next? And now, the latest being, of course, there have been the issues of the Bank of Uganda and all that, so many scandals that have been handled by the COSASE. And now, the latest is the Bank of Uganda. Sorry, Uganda Airlines, sorry. The Uganda Airlines. And in the Uganda Airlines, I think so many Ugandans have been following this conversation, the whole, as it has been happening, until it was concluded, and I think the report has not been...
They conclude now, hearing now they are making the report.
Yeah, they're making the report.
Going to put it on the table.
Yes. Yes, and what happened is that it takes us back to the case I was citing in 2019, much as the verdict was given on the 6th of July this same year. Now, in whatever we saw, there was some sort of contradiction in the laws and the application of the laws. Whereas the law gives the president so much powers to appoint on that. And, it also takes us back to the competence of, the persons occupying or being appointed by the president. And now, in the same scenario, I think for this particular, I'm going to start with Mr. Irumba. In this same case, even my president, Mr. Irumba, he also put under question how there are two figures in circulation. There is 117 million and then the 50. There is a document circulating. I am going to ask my producer to kindly put that document which is circulating. Yes, that document there, which talks about, I think, 150 million shillings And
156.
156. And
That's the total sum.
the total sum,
But we
every
received-
month you receive 13 million
But we
shillings.
received 117 million.
You received 117. Now, please,
So
give
what
us
is-
more
So what
information.
is the problem?
Now, the
You have seen that there is a contract. I have a service. I have gone and asked the government agency that I have this service and I think we can deliver. We have written a contract. I have done the service. The airline is not complaining. They are not complaining that I took money for free, and they've been paid. I'm not complaining.
The issue is under
that they have not been paid. So what is the problem?
the problem is the circumstances under which you were awarded that
Okay,
contract.
let me explain to you. 2019, when the president appointed Conwell Muleya to be the consultant for the revamption of Uganda Airline, he came here as a consultant. But a few years later, they realized that he was actually killing the same baby that he was trying to
revive.
Yes. There was a report. Now,
When you said they were killing, who was killing?
Muleya and his team.
Okay.
Now, there was a report. So what happened is this. They had contracted a company called Abavata at 3.7 billion to promote the airline. Right from the time when they were convincing Uganda that this is a good product, Uganda Airline, please let's have it. Convincing the cabinet and so on. Now doing PR in this mainstream media to show the goodness of the airline, isn't it? Up to the time when they were now receiving the first bombardier, that function there. You get? They were paid 3.7 billion. Along the way, Muleya and his team became corrupt. The president set in a team to investigate. Actually, he sent there 5 teams. Each one of them didn't know the other. 5. All of them came with the same report. They concluded these guys were bad. They set them aside. They went on forced leave. Meanwhile, Muleya was getting 127 million shillings per month. 127. Even when he was sent on forced leave, he continued getting the same money.
Because he was not terminated.
Exactly. That's for another day. Now, Muleya, when president sends them apart, he brings back Jennifer Bamuturaki, who had been sent back home by Muleya on account of incompetence, that she was not performing.
In what portfolio?
She was director commercial. At that time, Jennifer has been in the aviation industry for over 20 years. She even worked with Uganda Air, the one of Aga Khan.
Air Uganda.
Air Uganda. Jennifer Bamuturaki, the current CEO. Jennifer had been sent home by Muleya because Muleya said Jennifer was not performing. You get it? But the actual problem was that Jennifer refused to partake of their deals that they were doing. They started now making some deals which were so exorbitant. Jennifer refused to participate because some of the deals were supposed to pass through her department, commercial. So she refused. When she refused, they made a report that she's not performing. So she was sent home. Now, when the president finally finds out that these guys were doing wrong things, and it is Jennifer who made even part of the report, Jennifer made the report. It is that report that now sparked the president to send 5 teams, different teams, to go and investigate. They found out that these guys were doing wrong things. Now, they had already contracted this company, Abavata, at 3.7 billion, remember?
To market it?
Yes, to market it. When they were sent home, Abavata started using the same networks of the media, the mainstream media here. And I know them. They even have contracts, like the one they are accusing me of. Mine is 11 million.
Per month?
For no, I got 11 million for the entire year. From April to April. It was 156, but we had so far got 117 million. But per month was supposed to be 13 million. These companies, the mainstream media, I have the contracts, copies. They were getting exorbitant money from Abavata. From the 3.7 billion, they were getting exorbitant amount of money. So when they were kicked out, These same mainstream media started using part of that money to now blackmail the airline. When I saw what they were doing, yesterday you were saying Irumbi is a very good man. 1 week later you were saying Irumbi is the baddest man. There must be a problem. So that's what prompted me. I said, how can they start now saying the airline is bad, yet yesterday they were saying it's good? I mobilized my online media, my online journalists, as a president. I said, we need to counter these people. That is even before Jennifer came in, before I even knew Jennifer. I didn't know Jennifer. When I told them, look at what these guys are doing, and yet they were paid money. So when we started countering them from May, I got to know now Jennifer around September. That's when I got to know her.
Mr. Irumba,
yes.
Was there some sort of maybe call for proposals for service providers?
Let me first explain to you how it came in. How it came in is when I saw the Abavata team with the other clique doing bad PR, I started countering them without even going to Jennifer. I didn't know her. We did that from May up to September, free of charge. Then Jennifer's team started now scouting us. So they started inviting us for those conferences.
Which platforms were you using?
Our online
the Spy.
The Spy Uganda and others. In Doja, I lead an association of online media. So it's not just Indoja. Indoja is an association.
It's an umbrella.
My online media is called the Spy Uganda. But I mobilized the other members to do the same. So when they were rating bad, we were rating positive. We did that free of charge from May up to December. The first payment we got was December, 117 million. Why? Because we had been working for free from May.
Was it a payment or it was a token of appreciation?
It was a payment because...
So you had gone into a contract with them?
We got into a contract in December. But we had been working for free from May. So when they were paying, they paid us in arrears. We started working without a contract, even without any negotiation. I came in as a patriot to just defend the Uganda airline. So around September, October, Jennifer said, if we must pay you, then we must regularize this understanding, this work that you are doing. By way of you guys writing a proposal, propose to us, asking to serve us, to give us a service. We shall put it in the procurement process, and then you will now get adopted official and be paid. That's what we did. I did it myself. I wrote a proposal to Jennifer. I said, we can do a business. Anyway, we had already been doing it for free. So it was easy for her to understand. I even attached the sample of what we have been doing for free. So it went through the procurement process. Then in December, it was approved in November. December we were paid. We were paid now from April when we started doing work for free because we had already been working. So the money you saw us getting in December, we had already been working from May. That now, the contract was 156 million. That contract, Jennifer told us, you guys, the contract is signed in December. That's when officially we think we have gone into official work. But then you are demanding the other areas because we started working in May, which had no contract. You get it? So he said, if we pay you from May, it means this contract started in May. So it will also end in May. That's why you see that even if we send in December, our contract ended in May this year. Why? Because we were paid from May. Now, the period from May up to today, there is no contract. And therefore, anything I write about the airline, I'm writing about it as a Ugandan, as a Pan-Africanist, as a patriot, and as a journalist.
My question
so now, Mr. Honorable Joel saying, to say we were paid to attack him as a person and causes, it is wrong. Because right now, that contract is not there.
So right now, I am attacking him as you.
I'm not even attacking him.
Okay.
I am actually debunking the lies that they are doing. The lies. They are saying Jennifer has made a lot of mistakes. These mistakes that are under audit were made by Mulea. When Mulea came to their committee, they did not ask him these questions. They kept them for Jennifer. Why? Because there is an ulterior motive which I know. Their argument is that Jennifer should leave the airline because they have a motive. And this is not now Joel. No, there is a group of people who have interest at the airline. I know them. I know the people and the interests. So these people
After failing now to remove Jennifer, officially, they are using Kosase. Kosase is being used. Joel knows it. President Museveni wrote a letter on 24th of April directing Katumba Wamala, General, to confirm Jennifer. I have the copy here. This is the president writing. You see that letter? President wrote it on 24th of April, directing Katumba Wamala, confirm Jennifer. They hid that letter from Jennifer for 3 months. After 3 months,
the general hid it because it was...
I don't want to say the general, but the president wrote to the general. So why it did not write, why it did not reach Jennifer, and why general did not confirm her, I don't know. But the letter is reading 24th. Written by the president to the general, directing him to appoint Jennifer and confirm her. It did not happen. What happens? 3 months later, an advert is run calling for people interested in Jennifer's job to apply. The president has written a letter in April telling you, confirm Jennifer. You do not confirm her. 3 months later, you are advertising her job. Now, after advertising her job, it failed. When it failed, on 5th July, that's when now the general writes now. Now the general writes on 5th July. Now telling the board to confirm Jennifer. This is after running the advert. Now,
so do you mean to say this later was a response over the proceedings in the committee?
After yes, because Jennifer came to Parliament, and they realized that Jennifer did not even apply. That's why Joel, his first question, set of questions, by the way, preset by these people. Did you apply for the job? Jennifer said no. How did you come to now be the CEO, acting CEO, and now full? She said, I was appointed. What was wrong with that? Joel is a lawyer.
Joel is not a lawyer.
Joel is a lawyer now. He has studied law. He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer. Joel is a lawyer. Joel is a journalist. Joel is now a chairman of Kosase. He knows that the 1976 Act of Uganda Airline, 1976, empowers the president to be the one to appoint a CEO. The 1976 Act. It was enforced on 17th May 1976. Jennifer by then was 5 years in baby class. President Museveni was not yet in power. That law is there. I have a copy. It empowers the president to be the one to appoint a CEO of Uganda Airlines. In fact, he used the same law to appoint Muleya. Muleya came from Zambia, appointed by the president. But there are people who played the role, the middleman role, because the president didn't know him. Those people who brought him here to sell him to president, to appoint him, had interests. One of them is that they should be the suppliers of certain things. Number one, they should have the contracts to do the handling services. Handling at Entebbe. There are two companies, NAS and DAS. NAS used to be NHAS.
NHAS, yes.
Who used to own NHAS?
Kutesa.
Now he owns it with people from Kuwait. He sold in shares. He has shares. But now people from Kuwait have shares plus DAS. Who owns DAS? Do you know who owns DAS? Bob Kabonera and the team. They had interest there. So they said, when you come here, Bob Kabonera and other people, you know them. Now, those people have their interests vested in Muleya. Now Muleya is kicked out and Jennifer comes. Now Jennifer says, we have to self-handle. Every month, these companies were earning 200,000 US dollars every month for handling services. Every month. $1,200 every month, that's what they were getting. Jennifer says, at the end of this contract, they will not renew, we shall self-handle as a company. Right now, as I speak, from September 1st, Uganda Airlines is doing self-handling. Do you think that person will allow you to do that? So they are fighting. Because they failed now to remove Jennifer from there, because the president confirmed her, now they have to remove her from Kosase. The battle Joel is doing is not his battle. And there is a price. The chair he seated to do that work, there is a price. I know it. Now, there is another contract. There is a gentleman.
As you wind up, because
there is a gentleman.
Yes.
There is a gentleman.
Let him proceed.
There is a gentleman who owns an aviation school He's from Soroti there, and the school is Soroti there. That man went to Jennifer and said, I want to be the sole supplier of cabin crew members and the pilots. Jennifer told him, it is not possible, you have to bid. That gentleman also joined that group, Fight Jennifer. There's another contract, mixed jet.
Mixed jet.
Mixed jet, you call it a company supplying fuel to the airline, just like you see Shell and Total. This is a multi-billion international company. They had signed a contract which was 10 times bigger than what it was supposed to be. They signed it with Mulea to supply them fuel. The fuel was 10 times bigger than what the country should have paid. But Jennifer knew it. She kept quiet. When she kept quiet, the contract expired. They came back to renew. Now it is Jennifer acting. When they came back to renew, Jennifer told them, you have to reduce this by over 30%, or we go back to bidding. They said no. Renew our contract. She said no, I will not renew. Up to now it has not been renewed. They are fighting her. I know. It expired in April. This is September. Now they only give them a month renewal, you know, as they look at
temporary renewals.
Yes. But the fact is, Mulea had put in, and his team, they had put in exorbitant money that you cannot even catch him. Because that money goes to the company, Mixed Jet. After receiving that money, it comes back to them. You get it? So if the company was supposed to pay 100 billion worth of fuel as Uganda Airlines, they are paying 120. The other money comes back to them indirectly. I know it. We have evidence. Now, Jennifer refused to renew the contract. So that's another battle. So Joel here is telling you, Jennifer is not educated. Therefore, she should leave the airline. Excuse me. Jennifer has been in the airline for over 20 years. All the people who have been appointing Jennifer in very important roles, you mean they are stupid? It's only Joel who is wise? When they said she's not educated, she mentioned, she went on record, I have studied from Chebambe girls in Fort Porto.
But with no papers.
Wait a minute. I have studied from Chebambe, I have studied from Nabsunsa, I have studied from Makerere. That's even enough to pin Jennifer if she's not educated. Because that's criminal. If you say I've gone to Makerere and you have not gone there, it's criminal offense. Already. Have they gone there? They went there, they found Jennifer actually in a class doing masters. They have never written that. Up to now, I heard Joel on Saturday on Capital Gang saying Jennifer is not educated. When I brought evidence, I put it in the story. Evidence showing certified copies from those schools.
But what did you get them when she tried to present them?
No. You see, when you say Jennifer is not educated.
No, me, I'm not going for that. But for you, why did you get the documents when she did not present them there?
I'm a journalist.
Because the owner of the documents failed to present them.
I'm a journalist. I got the copies and I put them there.
So you got the copies before the owner of the copies?
But let me tell you, in this country, and the power, by the way, let me tell you, but even before you go there, John is the chairman of COSASE. On the team where they sit, there is an attached CID officer. Do you know that? Joel and his team, members of parliament, in that committee, there's an attached CID member official. And there is CID department at parliament, police, parliamentary police, there's a CID. If you say, I want the documents of Jennifer, you tell this CID police to write to Makerere, to write to UNEB or National
schools where she went.
It can bring that document in 1 minute. 1 minute. And that's why the president picked his phone and called the vice chancellor. Can you bring Jennifer's papers? He brought them in 1 minute to the president, vice chancellor. That man took them. Joel cannot say that with the institution has been empowered with the parliament, leave alone even the police. Parliament has powers to rate to Makerere or rate to UNEB and National Council and say, bring Jennifer's papers. So Jennifer even doesn't have to prove herself. Joel knows, but he has never come back to comment and correct the narrative that he started. So, is Jennifer educated? Yes. She's even doing masters. And she's doing masters at the same university where she did her bachelor's. So how can you say, how can you still continue maintaining the same statement as a member of parliament, honorable member of parliament? That you are
a lawyer and a journalist.
A lawyer and a journalist. It is wrong. But I don't blame him. He's doing it for somebody. He's doing it for a group of people, which we know. Let me tell you the other thing. When there are these regional fights now, when Uganda Airlines came on board, there were this KQ, there were Rwanda Air, there were Emirates, there was Ethiopian Airline. This was their market. This one, Uganda, was their market. When Uganda Airlines came, they have since taken the market. If you board Uganda Airlines, it will go full and come back full from Dubai. It will, even in Kenya, I boarded to Kenya. You go, it is full. You go to Dubai, it is full, and it comes back full. Other airlines are not. Since Uganda Airlines came, there is that regional market that people are fighting for. So even those regional airlines, they are now joining these people to fight Jennifer. When Jennifer came here, he met all the traders of Kampala here under Kasita.
Is that justifiable, really?
Yes.
Because
you ask me.
So when they fight Jennifer, will the entire airline
and
collapse?
the airline has to die. The airline has to die. It's not just Jennifer. The airline has to die. You either allow them, or it dies. So I have evidence.
You mean without Jennifer, that airline can't survive?
Did it? When they started without her, did it? You can see what.
But she has never made a profit ever since March.
There is no airline in this country that has ever made a profit in 2 years, you man.
Yes,
you tell me where that one is. So me, I know what I'm telling you. And now, let me tell you the other point. Uganda Airlines collapsed in 2001.
It was killed in 2001.
Me, I'm using the word collapsed. Who killed it, you will tell me. It collapsed in 2001. 2007, Air Uganda came, Aga Khan came, 2007. It also collapsed in 2014.
2014, yes.
Now Uganda Airlines has resurrected. They want to kill it so that the other airline also comes back. I also have evidence that among those fighting Uganda Airlines, Jennifer, are those people who want to revive Air Uganda. Because when Uganda Airlines died, it is Air Uganda that now took over as a national airline.
But Jennifer was part of Air Uganda.
Yes. What's wrong with that? She was not the CEO. There's no problem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Irumba. Well, this is so interesting. I want to go to Mr.
Let me, by the way, before my boss comes, let me also give you another narrative. You people, you need to learn these things. There is in the BIP what they call Business Implementation Plan, which was presented to Cabinet by National Planning Authority in 2016, even before the Uganda Airlines started. There is a plan that they need to buy more 5 aeroplanes. Now, they want to buy 2 mid-ranges, 2 cargo freights, and 1 charter. The people who went and bargained for these ones now, with Mleya and the team, they added a lot of money. Jennifer knows it. Now, they have come back and they want to start, this now is in 2 years plan. Now, they want to come back and be the ones to go and start negotiating for these other 5 planes. Jennifer is quiet. Now, when they realize that she cannot allow them, they want her out so that they can bring their person.
Thank you, Mr. I can now see where the 127 million has been going. Well, Bwana Rugendo, you've heard the gentleman. I think he has done the job well. Now, the question is, he tries to portray, I want to use that word, that there are factions now fighting one another. One faction fighting for the existence and the continuity of the airline, and one faction fighting for their interests. Now, he has brought in the element of the Committee of Parliament being dragged to or being used by one faction. But if I take you back to the scenario I talked about of 2019, where the committee released the report, and then one party which wasn't satisfied, they chose to run to court. And then court came and overturned whatever Parliament. Are we most likely...
I think that was 2009, not 19.
No, it was 2019.
Ah.
Yes, it was 2019.
Which one?
That was on the land matter, but the verdict was given
maybe
on 6th July.
But the point was, I think it was 2009, and
then the verdict was given on 6th July this year.
2019.
2019, overturning what was decided by. But it wasn't, because it was, the committee was chaired by former Kawempe, Member of Parliament. Kawempe Latif.
Yeah.
No. No. Munyagwa,
Munyagwa.
and then he delegated
That is recent.
Ibrahim Kaso, just 2019.
That is recent.
It was 2019. So when they gave their report, that Indian gentleman of the tight security, he went to court. And then court overturned whatever was. Now, are we most
departed Asians property?
Yes. So are we likely to experience the same happening on that? In the same
Of course, you know, committees of parliament don't have the judicial powers. I'm not a lawyer, but this is the impression I get. And I think what they recommend are instruments that the state, that the executive is supposed to practicalize, to implement. And the problem in this country has been that the executive tends to overlook, you know, what these committees recommend, especially if you came to Kosase, even before Joel, somebody's talking about Joel, but even before, if you look at most of these recommendations and the reports they write, what has ever been implemented? Nothing, really. So it more or less like a show, and then things.
They make noise and everything
things just
is
gathering dust on the shelves, and the country moves on. And that's the frustration. And I think really, I've been listening to Mr. Wakaku. This is my first time to meet him. I think I agree. I agree with him that the sense of irresponsibility on part of organs of the state in taking some of these reports seriously. So it's more or less. So you can see my son here, what he's saying. You know, there is so much that is going on which is not known to the public, and which has a bearing on how the state reacts to this report.
Yes.
If you look at generally speaking, yes, you've done a good job, my son. That's correct. I am also very, very interested in things that we own as a country and protecting them. But I think, you know, at a broader picture, Parliament, especially Kosase, that has the mandate to foresight what government does, what happens within government, really have a duty to the nation to question some wrong things somewhere. And everybody believes that despite the pressure that Jennifer goes through and her team, really, of course there are certain things that didn't go well, you know. And for me, my problem is that Kosase has missed that opportunity to bring out the key issues that are paramount to running of state enterprises. You know, things like standards, question procedures. For example, you've done a good job. You came in with your team and you really, you know, intervened. But what you are saying, from what I hear, from what I heard, is, for example, you know, you did some pro bono job.
It wasn't pro bono.
Which was not contracted. Then,
it was verbally contracted.
Then you paid for something that was not contracted. And I think that's the key issue.
Yep.
That the Kosase is right to question. You get it? Why? You know, why you paid?
How did you even do
for
it?
A period that you did not contract.
Yep.
And those are the issues that should be coming out. Now, the whole process around Kosase looks as if, you know, the procedure is so personal to a person, you know, which is why I think you ask even this question, that can the airline survive without Jennifer? You know, there's that personalization of the entire process. It's as if the problem is this woman and we are losing the big picture. And that's why I think this investigation might not end anywhere, you know. You know, the president had decided, and Joel and his team have fallen, you know, in a trap where they've gone personal about somebody and lost the big picture. And for me, that's where I find a problem. Number two, the airline has become an issue, a hot potato, because everybody feels this is something that they must earn from, and I think it could be true that, you know, there are too many interests. When this advert actually came up, let me tell you, my son and the rest, I jokingly, you know, I did actually. I applied, and And when I contacted my third reference, whom I can't mention here, this gentleman is very well entrenched into the state. And he said, Rugendo, if we really want to have a headache, you proceed with this.
What do you apply?
CEO. I wanted to be CEO. I applied. I applied. And the gentleman tells me, if you really want to have a headache and grow gray hair in 2 minutes,
Chief Executive Officer of the
airline. So you apply for that job because that place is a headache. You will not manage the intrigue, the chaos, the
manipulation.
Not just the manipulation. There's too much that is going on there, and you wonder whether certain people really feel for this country. And I actually gave up. I did not proceed, and I took his advice in good faith. And this is what we are seeing. And so for me, I think let's allow the process to proceed. I think it's not enough to blame Joel because there are certain things that didn't go well. Why? Because I think Jennifer and his team and you, my son, you've not really brought out some of these key issues for the public to know. Because what we are seeing is that clearly there was an advert. And PricewaterhouseCoopers, went ahead and processed these applications, and then we wake up one morning and somebody's appointed. And why waste people's time? Because you're talking to, you're dealing with people's careers, people's professions, and wasting their time. And for me, that when those issues become prominent.
No.
And just a moment, they become prominent, and so people start questioning, and they are right to question some of these things.
I need to bring in Mr. Mukaku.
So for me, before he comes in, I want to feed him some. Zeno, why we are beginning even to question these things is the spirit and the modus operandi. If you realize, the Auditor General's report was actually mainly covering the period of Mr. Mulea, the period.
Not Jennifer.
Not Jennifer. 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021. But you'll be surprised that when Mulea came, he was only given a platform to explain himself.
On the contracts that he signed, yes.
This contract I'm talking about of billions of money, 200,000 US dollars per month.
For the fuel?
No, for the self.
That was just information. I need to bring in Mr.
For handling. Let me
ground handling.
Ground handling.
Okay.
It was signed by Mr. Mulea. You get it? The mixed jet, where money is being too much taken, was signed by Mr. Mulea. Even I've seen now the ticket issue. This ticket issue started from Mr. Mulea. And in my understanding, when I investigated, when they brought it the other day, do you know that there is no problem with this ticketing?
Thank you, Bwana Irumba. I want to bring in Mr. Mukaku into this conversation. Mr. Mukaku is a politician, and you are journalists. Now, Mr. Mukaku, you're seeing what your colleagues are doing in Parliament, in the committee. We must say they are doing a commendable job, trying to bring all these issues to the spotlight. And then maybe the final verdict will determine who has done the job better. But now,
the final verdict from where?
From Kosasa.
From Kosasa, like
because they are writing a report.
Yes. Now, my question to you is, does Kosasa? Okay. How do you think this will end from the Kosasa? What are your expectations from the report, and what do you think will come up after going through whatever? It has been a full month of this whole matter before the committee.
Number one, Mr. Rugendo made some very interesting observation. Very interesting observation from Mr. Rugendo. For the last parliaments that we have had, the recent parliaments, this is the 11th.
11th, yes.
So we are talking about, say, from the 8th to now, are the recommendations of the committees of parliament, have they been really implemented, really respected? Or are they falling, suffering the same fate of the Bamugemerere Commission and other commissions?
You're right, and it rests there forever.
Is what happened to the type of Bamugemerere commissions something to inform us about how the committees of parliament are working? It goes back to the very thing we need to interrogate further, whether we still have these institutions and their bureaucratic system, and whether the voices have not been captured as independent actors are already alleging. Members of the Fourth Estate are very important in refining our democratic processes. Their role is there. Because we assume many times that, like also we assume that the members of parliament will not be, they're disinterested. They are not partisan. You can only bring it out at some stage and say you are partisan. In the case where comrades like Senyoy, whose qualifications and whose background, political or otherwise, we know, have already said the Irumbas have some interest. And the Irumbas are doing it for something. It's their word against
the Irumbas.
Now, it is also Irumba's words
against
them, so the burden is on both of them.
To prove.
But what it brings out, I think Mr. Agenda still pointed it out, it is, and this type of gymnastics in our alternative institutions, especially the arms of government, why one arm must take the other, is exactly what we want, that banter. Now I know, having been part of this evening talk show, now I know there's a bigger problem somewhere on either the Irumbas or
the other side.
The other side. And we should have, I think some people, some scholars, and some individuals who want reforms have already submitted that even committees of parliament should have their reports or their work should have some kind of review. Because even in the judiciary, for example, there are cases where we have what we call mistrials. If it is a mistrial, then they will say, go and do again. Go do it again. In parliament, which has, because you see in parliament, it's not even very cohesive and coherent in terms of how to handle business, because people are coming from different sectors, different experiences. Sometimes some are just very new. You could easily have what you could equate as a misinvestigation, which the other side we call a mistrial. Now, my problem has been since I heard this story, because I started hearing about it when I was in prison. You know this
with Dr. Besigye.
Yes. Inciting the public.
Yes.
Allegedly now, some of which have been, and that's where our country has gone. I was there. These days, at least, there are some TVs contributed by the inmates, and we were able to. I saw the Mulea thing. I didn't know about Mulea, but I picked interest. I told my colleague, Dr. Kiza Besigye, and a few others with whom we were, because for us we were with these. Some of them are former or still, because you never know, someone chief government accounting officers. And we all debated, we all discussed. It was stinking, that Mulea case. was stinking the way it was handled. He's a foreigner getting rights that that people here don't even get. And then you have to release him quickly, give him bail, which other people don't even get. We were there. We were supposed to have bail. But Mulea, it was so quick, he got the bail on criminal charges. Proven criminal charges. High criminal charges. Where somebody on inciting violence could not even. That needed to be investigated. Only that you see when we came out, a lot of things are happening and we are few to handle this. But Mulea thing stinks. Now here, you are able to see this. If Mulea does not stink as much as Bamturaki, and I am a member of parliament, say like if last time I had gone to parliament from Rubaga, and I have the mouth, I have the brain, I have everything, and I'm going to investigate this, I don't just investigate one line on a failing industry. You only just investigate the qualifications of somebody, or the procurement only, because you must do some prior work.
Like managerial
This is parliamentary committee, which is going to handle a sector that is in the public interest, that is consuming a lot of resources. That if we curb the expenditure, the bleeding of resources and wealth in that particular sector, you would help so many people who do not have jobs, who cannot buy fuel, who cannot buy essentials of life, and all this. This is where Parliament lets down the people. Now, when you hear that, last time I had a chance, after coming out, we were on BBS, which is your sister media house. And we talked about it. We had some members of Parliament, like the man from Bunyoro, the maverick from Bunyoro, is an NRM. Tinkasimiri. Yeah. And he gave us some brief, because I was not in Parliament, I said, instead of starting with me, start with Tinkasimiri, who is a member of Parliament. There were others who had been there, like Simba. And then I said, we have Babu. Captain Babu, Honorable. And we said, I know his experience. Let him come first. When Babu scooped through this whole thing, you could see you cannot be a member of the Kosase team, even go to investigate, examine, do scrutiny on such a sector without people who have
prior knowledge and
good experience, knowledge, helping you. I don't think Kosase, in this particular investigation, was well equipped. Secondly, you have people like my friends from Rubaga, you could even have the Segirinyas type. I'm just giving an example. You see, for you to be able to do what we call cross-examination of somebody who has been in an industry for 20 years, and you have not been there, you must have that capacity and that capability and the skills and the information. So if you don't have these ones, you are going to be doing a shoddy job.
Thank you so much, Mr.
So
Mukaku.
my view is,
I
want to have this one.
Yep.
Number one, even with this media, this topic must come back here. It's a topic of high public interest. If possible, if we can't get Senyo elsewhere, let him come to this studio, and we shall advertise. Let's hear from his side. Let's also hear more from him in his presence. And let us politicians and other civic leaders take interest. Parliaments must do more investigation, because the way they have handled that investigation is serving two purposes. Number one, it is not telling us, it is not getting giving us the whole picture, and it is not informing us from there where should we go.
What next?
It is only to appease the voter in a certain constituency, X, to say, didn't you see our man taking on so and so? So we are doing it for the next general election.
I want your closing shot, Mr. Mukaku.
This one, we should not have these investigations just for the next general elections.
And
we should not have these investigations just for the sake of what everyone now knows in this country, perpetuated by the mafias, because we have different mafia levels, for trading, business in politics. Because you know, very many people have been in that process. I had it during the other parliaments, especially with the FDC then. People saying, you have removed me from this committee because I've not been coughing enough. I had this, you had
Mr.
this.
Mukako, I'm afraid
even
we
with
have
NRM, some NRMs were complaining, you don't appoint us on certain fat committees because we don't cough or we are not expected to cough. So you see the hand of the mafia. If we are to deal with the mafia, the way Irumba is putting it, that there are vested interests there, those who want enhance, those who want this. And the mafia can still go to parliament.
Joel is not telling the public.
Can still go to parliament, and you get money on two sides: the side of the enhance, the other vested interests, and the side of Bamturaki.
Your closing shot, Mr. Mukako.
Say,
in just 15 seconds.
It is time you, the fourth estate, the civic leaders, us parliamentarians, and other leaders to say we better get together, put our act together, to Rumbe, and then we save our country.
Thank you so much,
and
Mr.
the
Mukako.
only way to do it, even parliamentary committees must not be allowed to do what they call political business, selling the heart of this country.
Thank you so much. Mr. Rugendo, I need your closing shot, sir.
Well, my closing shots clearly, to assess the effectiveness of our parliamentary committees, in particular the COSASE, I would want to say that I think if COSASE really wants to do a good job, they need to come with clean hands to begin with. And there are very many allegations that keep flying all over the place, with many members of that committee taking bribes from some of these people.
Even being intimidated as well, the threats.
Yes, there are threats definitely, but there are also, benefits that are, that
benefits that come along with the threats.
Yes, and so I think they have denied us that opportunity to have a complete picture of a sensitive industry that all of us are interested in.
And I think for me,
that should be for me the biggest area that they need to fix as soon as possible, even before they write their report.
First of all, for me in PFT, and speaking for the PFT, and
now you have gone
as a DP bloc, yes, because I have a responsibility of this country, I want to join Senyonyi and his colleagues, my friend Irumba, and all those other interested, if to make sure that we bring this this matter to a fair conclusion.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I am giving you 30 seconds to give me your closing shot, sir.
My biggest issue now, Mr. Honorable Mukako, because I know you're going there at some point, we need to also check the powers of Parliament. Parliament has given itself powers of High Court. Do you know that Honorable Joe seated now? He's a High Court judge. That Honorable, they have vested the powers of High Court. If you say, I am a crocodile, behave like so. If you say I have powers of a High Court, behave like a High Court judge. When you see how the modus operandi, the mood, the situation they put in their clients, you have invested me for cross-examination. You want to audit how I've been working. Can you give me an audience so that I explain to you? Can you stop judging me? Honorable Joel asked Jennifer, are you educated? She said, yes, I am educated. Joel, after that, came out and said, she's not educated.
Thank you so much.
Of the matter.
Thank you so much.
Have you ever had a judge doing that?
Thank you so much, Mr. Irumba.
Then the last thing is, can they do their work without necessarily inviting media to? How do you do investigation with media? Does police do that? Does CID do that? Do your work, finish it, call us now.
Thank you so much,
Give
Mr. Irumba.
To final report.
Thank you so much.
But you want to work with us in the media.
Thank you so much.
That's
Thank you
wrong.
so much. This has been a good
So they are just
conversation
politicking.
tonight. And I want to thank all my panelists for sparing time out of their busy schedules to be part of tonight's discussion. Well, we cannot go beyond here, and this brings us to the end of tonight's edition of The Hotline. My name is Abdul Latif. Until next Monday, I wish you a good night.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.